Hey guys, it's me. Today I'm talking about all the books I read in July. This whole stack. I have trigger warnings for all of these books linked in the description, so if you don't want to know about trigger warnings because you think they're spoilery, don't look at them. But if you do want to know the trigger warnings because you'd like to know beforehand, then you can check that out down below. This month I participated in 4 readathons. Yes, 2 month-longs and 2 week-longs. Well, one was 9 days, but oh well. I participated in the Book Junkie Trials, the Medieval-a-thon, the Final Bibliothon, and the Reading Rush. And if you want to know for the challenges these books fit in for all of those readathons, just leave you my blog link down below, which is always linked down below. You can go check my July wrap-up post on, and that has every challenge listed for every readathon. So the first book I read this month is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and this was a reread for me. This book is the first book in the Red Queen series, which is about a world in which you are either born with red blood or silver blood, and if you have silver blood you have powers, like abilities, and yeah, the silver is also seen as like higher up elites and like royalty, and if you're born with red blood you don't have any powers and you're more like working class and stuff. We follow our main character who has red blood, and one day she goes to work for a job at the castle, and there she accidentally exposes her lightning powers, which she didn't know she had before this point, which is impossible normally for reds to have powers, so to not cause a lot of chaos, because also a red blood-led rebellion is rising up at the moment, cause like less chaos. The king and queen decide for the main character to be a silver who was just raised by reds and just never really knew about the fact that she actually was silver because she never bled apparently. And they also just make our main character engaged to the prince, the second in line, though. Can we marry our future king? So everything just makes, so she's just able to stay in the castle so they can keep an eye on her. Like I said, this book is a reread. The main thing I remember from reading this book is that I was absolutely just like blown away by this book, and it's so many different plot twists that I just didn't see coming at all. So I was a bit scared going into this book again because I remembered all of those plot twists. And yeah, that was the main thing I remembered about me feeling about it, but it was my favorite book of the year that year. So I was like, I'm just kind of scared now. I really like this though. I thought this book was very interesting, and it was a very interesting world with a very interesting magic system. I really liked our characters. That's just the main drive for this book, in my opinion, is the characters. It's not very character based, but I just feel if you love the characters, you're gonna enjoy the story more. At least that's just how I read. I really enjoy these characters. They do kind of fall into tropes. This book is full of tropes. The main critique it gets is it's very much like other fantasy books. But like I said, I enjoyed the tropes that are in here, and it does it very well in my opinion. I don't mind tropes in a book as long as it's done well. I feel like this book does them well. My main critique on this book though is that it's very predictable. Like the first time I read this, I just got into reading again, so like I wasn't really up to like, my knowledge now. I don't know. I feel like everybody knows this when you first start reading again. Like the experience reading is different than if you've been reading for a while. And I was so shocked by every single plot twist, but now I'm just like, there were so many hints towards everything, and not like just hidden that if you like go back and reread it you're like, oh yeah, look at these clues. No, it generally just like, it's there, it's almost spelled out for you, and it's just like, how did I not see that coming at all? And then the second book I read this month is Dear Martin by Nic Stone. I gave it this 5 out of 5 stars. This book is about a boy who gets arrested by the police when he is one night trying to get his ex-girlfriend who's drunk back into a car so like he can drive her home and be safe, he's nice. He gets arrested because the police think that he's trying to take advantage of this girl, because this girl, even though she's half black, looks mostly white, and main character is black, so police obviously thinks the worst. He gets arrested and he explains the situation and they still don't believe him, and yeah, takes a while for this to be figured out. And after this, he just kind of, our main character just starts thinking more about race and about racism, about white privilege, even though like it's supposed to be equal, it's not, and he starts to just kind of seeing that in the world now that this has happened to him. And he also writes letters to Martin Luther King, like the Dutch title translated is What Would Martin Do? It's kind of an experiment he's running, kind of, in his brain, like whenever he's faced with stuff like racism and police brutality or something, he thinks to himself like, what would Martin Luther King do? And that's also where these letters come from. And yeah, that's what this book is about in a nutshell. It's short, and I still didn't explain like half of it to you, but oh well. I really enjoyed this book. I read it in one sitting. It was very quick, and yeah, it's so, I love books like this that are short but impactful. You know, you don't need a long book to pack a punch. It can also be done in a short book, and you can raise a lot of discussions, and I think books like this are great. Because they're so short, they're very accessible to teens who don't usually like to read much. So it's very accessible to those people, but also just being very discussion heavy. I think that's great, because everything that gets teens to read about important things is important. Especially because this book, I feel like, raises this discussion in a very nuanced way. There are a lot of characters in this book who believe that white privilege isn't a thing and that black and white are equal. Like, they are by law, but we all know they aren't, but which is bad. But it has those characters that genuinely believe that, and it shows their side, while it also shows the obvious side, and it shows actually statistics it talks about. And then the next book that I read is The Iron King by Kagawa, which I gave 2 out of 5 stars. This is actually by above the first 2 books in the series. I only read half of this. So yeah, I only read the first book in the series, which is the Iron Face series, and the series is about a girl, Megan, who kind of went a little bit before her 16th birthday, like kind of weird things start happening in her life. Until eventually, the highlight, on her 16th birthday, she gets attacked by a health brother. Little health brother was like 5 years old, I think. Like 3 years old, I don't know. Little kid. And while this attack is happening, her best friend comes in. He kind of rescues her. And turns out, this best friend is actually a fairy, a fae. Her real best friend is one. And her health brother was actually kidnapped by fae and exchanged by a changeling. You know, they basically set off to a quest to find a little brother in fae. Yeah, that's what this book is about. A lot of things happen, but like that's the main plot. The book came out in 2010, so I don't know if it's just like me just reading this like 10 years after the fact, or just it was already when it was published. But it felt very, very basic to me. There's a lot of tropes in here, and I feel like that could be contributed to the fact that it was written in 2010 when these tropes weren't as prevalent. But I don't know, I wasn't reading stuff like this in 2010. I wouldn't know if those tropes were really that prevalent in the time. So I feel like I can critically critique it on the tropes because it's from a different time. It's almost a decade ago that this was written. So I feel like I can critique it on that. But for the rest, it still felt, on its own, it still felt very basic to me. This world is so interesting because we got like an explanation of how the world works a little bit. And it's so interesting. It has to do with like technology and science, and the more people believe in science, like the less they believe in like magical creatures and stuff, the more this land fades. This is so interesting, but we've seen like nothing of it. It's placed like a very small portion in this book. Next book I read this month, I actually don't have a physical copy of, and that is Bread of Flowers Volume 1 by Callie, which I give 2 out of 5 stars. I don't own a physical copy of this because I got a galley of this for Night Galley, and this book comes out August 20th in 2019. This book is manga, kind of. I feel bad calling it a manga because it's written originally in French by a French person, so manga is Japanese, so I don't feel comfortable calling it a manga, but it is written in the manga style. It's about a girl who has a huge crush on this guy who was a star basketball player at the school. And then one day she finds out that this guy is actually a girl disguised as a boy to be able to play in the basketball team because there's no female basketball team at the school and she's obsessed with basketball. But because she also has a crush on the first girl, they start a relationship anyway. And yeah, that sounds cute, wholesome, right? Like, could raise a lot of discussion, a lot of potential. But give it 2 stars. You already know it didn't. I actually think, I hate to say this, but I think this book is definitely harmful. I don't want to be that person, but like, it is. Hi, it's me from the world of editing. I realized that my whole explanation on towards why this book is harmful is very spoilery, and I just thought, I'm not gonna do that. Basically, why I call this book harmful is we have 2 female main characters in it. One who started off very homophobic and quickly changed to be okay with her own gay sexuality, and that was just not well done, I feel like, because yeah, spoilery reasons, I'm so sorry. And then we have the other characters very set up like a trans character, and it was very much going that way, and then all of a sudden it just wasn't, and it was just, it's this person who is just oppressed by society, but like and it felt very worn, in my opinion. And of course I'm not own voices on any of this, so I can't really tell you how accurate it can be, and or like how harmful, not accurate, not at all, but how harmful it can be for people. But I just felt like it was done all very distasteful and very worn, and yeah, that's why I call it harmful, in case you're wondering. The next book I read this month was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. This book is about a band called Daisy Jones and the Six in the 70s. Were very popular in the 70s. But they broke up. Nobody knows why, because they always just seemed like, you know, this great band, great friendship. But they broke up out of nowhere. Kind of like the peak of their popularity. And this book is just someone has come to interview the band and just like some people close to them to just basically be able for them to tell the story of the band, of them coming together, of the whole time they were together, and then eventually also why they broke up, where they've been since. And yeah, I really love this. If you've been on BookTube the past year, you like just for 2019, you've heard about this book and you've heard raving reviews about this book, and I'm just one of many. I love this book so much. I don't have the obsession with it as most people do, but at the same time I also just can't really critique it on anything because I just enjoyed it so much. It felt very real. I feel like that's, from what I've heard from other reviews on other books by this author, it's kind of her strong suit, making these characters feel real, and these books just like make everything just feel real, like it happened. Daisy Jones and the Six was an actual band. The next book I read this month is The Perfectionists by Sara Shepard, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and is the first book in the duology called Perfectionists. So the books that the show Pedophelia, The Perfectionist is based on, even though I haven't watched the show, so I don't know how close it is. It's on the cover, I'm assuming not that close, but oh well. This book is about 5 girls who have absolutely nothing in common besides the fact that they absolutely hate the most popular guy in this school. He's hated by most people, but they have a personal vendetta against him for different reasons. And they come together in a film class and start talking about how they would possibly kill this guy without it, you know, looking suspicious. But eventually decide to not go for it because, you know, they're not cold-blooded murderers. They just want to embarrass him at his party. Just not typical teenage stuff, but it's not. No, it is. It's illegal. But it's not murder, you know. But at this party, Nathan, the guy, falls dead, and it happens to be in the exact same way these girls planned it to be. But they obviously didn't do it. So the question throughout this entire book is, who did? You know, who had that vendetta against the guy and against the 5 of them? Because obviously, just framed kind of on them. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. Realistically, this, critically, if you look at this critically, it is a 3-star. It's full of tropes, and it's very predictable, and like a mystery you don't want to be predictable. But I had such a great time with this book that I gave it 4 stars, because enjoyment is something, you know? But this is one setting I couldn't put it down, and normally I don't like mysteries that much, but I feel like this, just like Pretty Liars, very great comparison to it. It's written by the same author, so yeah. There's very much like Pretty Liars that there is a mystery, but the mystery is not the main focus. The personal lives of these girls are the focus, and the drama in that. And I can eat that shit up all day long. Then the next book I read this month is Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker and Wendy, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. And this is another galley I read, and it comes out October 7th, 2019. You've probably heard about this book because a lot of people got arcs of this through BEA, I believe, or BookCon, one of the two. A lot of people have read this. This is a graphic novel about a girl who is a witch, and she lives with her grandmothers who kind of teach her about, you know, witchcraft and stuff. But during childhood she was friends with this girl who was a werewolf who moved away. Now, in the beginning of the novel, she comes back to town and they connect again. Turns out, there's a demon in the woods that is sort of connected to this girl and the werewolf, and they have to contain the demon because, you know, demons, never great. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. But the art style was so dang cute. I loved it. I love cute stuff. Also, it's a very cute story with a very cute romance. It's very, very diverse. The main character, the witch, wears a hearing aids, and then the werewolf is non-binary, so I just realized I said in my description that she is a girl, but she isn't. They use their pronouns. I'm so sorry that I messed that up. A very captivating story. I couldn't put it down. Read it in one sitting, which isn't hard for graphic novels, but like, I didn't want to put it down either. I had a great time with the story, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I don't have too many things to say about it, I'm sorry. Next book I read is Unplugged and Unpopular by Heagerty, Tintin, Pantoja, and Amante. I don't know if I pronounced any of that right. It's 3 out of 5 stars, and it is another gallery I read that comes out on October 15th, 2019. This graphic novel is basically our world, but just a little bit different, a little bit more futuristic, where everybody's obsessed with technology and is just basically in their phone or on their laptop or on a tablet constantly. Besides like the elderly, because you know, elderly are not that great with technology, and the elderly are kind of taught to be insane because they just keep talking about like these aliens and alien invasions. And like the people with technology like, there aren't aliens here, like, you're crazy. But we follow our main character who gets grounded because she's caught cheating on a test, having sick with all of her technology, and quickly she also starts to see these aliens. And yeah, basically it's about this girl having to prevent an alien invasion with these elderly people. The rest of the world is just too busy up in their technology. There's reasons behind everything, but I can't explain to you for spoilers. This is a middle grade story. I would even argue it to be children, more towards children than like middle grade. And I feel like this novel would be great for younger people. But just as my age, I'm almost 18, it just felt a little bit preachy. But I feel like for younger kids this would be great. It's a fun story with a fun art style and very colorful. So I feel like for the age range it's targeted towards, this would be a very good read, but for me personally it wasn't. The next book I read is Queen of Urban Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and this is the third and final book in the Dark Artifices trilogy. I'm gonna say too much about this book because this does spoil the events, like this series spoils the events of the Moral Instruments and the Dark Art and the Moral Devices. So yeah, basically what I can talk to you about, if you know anything about this world, you'll kind of catch up on things, but if you don't know anything about this world, you won't. This follows the Blackstone family after the events of City of Heavenly Fire, and yeah, how they deal with things. This is the last book, and it was, yeah, this is heavy. I thought this book was a great ending to the trilogy. This trilogy is my favorite series from Cassandra Clare because it is so political, which I love, especially this book. In this book, the focus of like the villains are more from like what it was in Lady Midnight to like more political, which also already have hints of it in Lady Midnight, but like just this is very political and it's so great. I feel like you could draw parallels to the current situation, but at the same time, like, it is its own fantasy thing and you don't have to correlate it to current day politics if you don't want to, but you could. I love these characters. Don't like Julian and Emma too much, which are like the main focuses of this book. But I love the rest of the Blackstone family, which I know we're going to focus on more in the Wicked Powers, which is a spin-off series on this. It's coming in 2022, I think. The only problem I really had with this book is that it felt boring at quite a lot of points. This is a 900-page book. It's a chunker. And I just felt bored at sometimes and just less interested. And I wish that it didn't happen. But for the rest, this was great. So the next book I read this month is The Red Squalls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. This a book I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and is the first book in the Eldest Curses trilogy. And this book is about Magnus and Alec who go on a trip through Europe after the events of City of Glass, but they get interrupted because there is this demonic cult, you know, never a great thing. But they've always just been kind of a laugh because they've been more focused on partying instead of actually like, you know, demonic stuff. But recently their focus has shifted towards the more demonic stuff, and specifically killing of Fae, which is only done to raise like a high demon. So, you know, sketch stuff. But the most sketch thing is that Magnus is accused of starting this cult, even though he has absolutely no memory of doing so. And basically this book is about discovering the truth about this cult and also at the same time ending it to save Magnus's reputation as well as to, you know, save Fae because they're being killed. I had a great time reading this book. Critically, again, not the best book, and it's very different from like, I feel like what Cassandra Clare usually writes, because this was so much fun. I feel like this was just like a fun book. Ridiculous stuff happened. The plot is pretty ridiculous, I have to say that, but if you just like it is spent with disbelief a little bit, just let fantasy go wild, you're just gonna have so much fun with this book, and that's exactly what I had. And I love Magnus and Alec. They're my favorite characters in this world, so I enjoyed having a trilogy following them. The next book I read is And We Call It Love by Amanda Vink, which I give 2 out of 5 stars. Is another gallery that I read from that gallery, but this book already came out on January 15th of 2019. This book is told in verse and is about 2 girls that were best friends for like forever. Then one of the girls kind of gets in a relationship and they 2 drift apart. Then the other girl one day just notices like different kind of bruising on the girl that got in the relationship, and is suspecting an abusive relationship, but she isn't entirely sure because, you know, the girl won't tell her, obviously. This book had a lot of potential, you know, being about an abusive relationship, but it didn't back that punch for me. And also this book was told in dual perspectives from both of the girls, and I feel like it was badly indicated when because it was told in first person as well, it was very badly indicated like when which girl was talking, you know. Next book I read is Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and is the second book in Duology. It's a companion book to Prince Charming, and you don't have to read that one before reading this one, but this will spoil Prince Charming, so if you're planning on reading both, read them in order, because then you won't be spoiled. But this book is about a girl, an American girl, who got into a Scottish boarding school but was kind of unsure of going because, you know, she had a great life in America. She doesn't know if she wants to leave that behind. And then she finds her sort of girlfriend cheating on her, and it's like, okay, I'm out of here, bye, I don't care about this anymore, I need like a refresh, you know. So she goes to the Scottish boarding school, and turns out her roommate, crazy, right, is the Princess of Scotland, which I know isn't a real thing, but like in this universe it follows Scottish royals. Prince Charming was my favorite book, one of my favorite books in the year that I read it. I think it was last year, then definitely wasn't my favorite, but like it was one of my favorite books that I read. So I had high hopes for this one, and everything that I loved about Prince Charming was present in this. It was great. It has a lot of humor, I love the setting, I love the friendships, and I really like the romance. I like the love interest a lot, and I actually wish this was told in her perspective instead of the main characters. Because that's my issue with this book. I didn't like the main character at all, not even close. She's just very, very, very judgmental. And also just like the thing is, the main reason she wants to go to a boarding school in Scotland is because she's obsessed with Scotland. But once she actually gets there, she doesn't know anything about it. Because you think, like, if you're obsessed with Scotland, you know the royalty. You know, especially because this is comparable with just like UK royalty. Like, I live in a country where there is royalty. Like, even though, like, I don't know everyone in the world, I have to be honest. Like, royalty isn't as big here as it is in some other countries. But this is definitely a country in which their royalty is very big, and there's a lot of gossip about them. It just seems weird that she's obsessed with Scotland and doesn't know the Scottish family and doesn't recognize any of them. Then the next book I read this month is Ghost of the Shadow Market, which is by Cassandra Clare, Rees Brennan, Maureen Johnson, Link and Robin Wasserman. That was a lot. I gave this book an average rating of 3.15 out of 5 stars. This is a short story collection, if you don't know. I rate every short story in the collection always individually, and then for like the book I tally them up, divide them, you know, to the average thing. Just for placement and time for this book in this world. The first 8 stories take place before Queen of Ever Darkness, and the last 2 take place after Queen of Ever Darkness. So if you want to read this, I do recommend reading the first 8 before Queen of Ever Darkness. Like, it's not necessary. Like, read all of the short story collectors aren't like necessary in Shadowrun's world, because everything that's important that comes in this is explained in Queen of Ever Darkness as well. But this just gives so much more background story to it. So you could read it after, but like I say, like read it before. Like the last 2 definitely spoil Queen of Ever Darkness, and play off of things that happen at the end of Queen of Ever Darkness. If you don't know what happened, you're gonna be very confused reading those 2. So kind of recommendations on that. Basically follows what is Kagawa as ventures through the shadow market trying to find information or even find the lost Haranil. You know who the lost Haranil is if you know, catch up on the series. I loved some of the stories, particularly the first one. That's my favorite. It's Castle and Shadows. But most of them just fell a little bit flat to me. I think mainly because this book focuses mainly on characters from the Infernal Devices, which I never really had that big of a connection with as most people do. So if you love Infernal Devices, I think you're probably gonna love this. I think this made me very excited for the last hours. Very, very excited, because I just have fallen in love with one of the characters in that series, which is the character that this first story focuses on. Second to last this month, I read the Tea Dragon Festival by Katie O'Neill, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. And I also got a gallery of this, and this comes out September 17th of 2019. This is a prequel / companion to the Tea Dragon Society. I remember people saying it's a prequel, but I'm not sure. I haven't read the Tea Dragon Society, so I couldn't tell you. Don't have to read one to read the other. The Tea Dragon Festival is just like a festival to celebrate like the tea dragons that live in the town, which is like a subtype of dragons. The main character, like right before this festival happens, the main character finds not a dragon, it's not a tea dragon, close to the town. And turns out this dragon was supposed to, you know, protect the city for like 80 years, but he fell asleep actually 80 years ago and never woke up and doesn't know how that happened. It's a natural. So it's kind of this making this dragon, like introducing him back into the town and, you know, showing him what he missed, but also trying to figure out, like, you know, what happened to him. And I really enjoyed this. Very cute art style and very colorful as well. And I definitely get the hypes around the series, but at the same time I'm not there with most people, but I do understand why people love it so much as they do. And then the last book I read this month, I literally finished this last night, is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I gave it 5 stars, and this is the first book in the Nevernight Chronicles. And yeah, this book follows Mia Corver, whose father was killed because he was deemed a traitor. They were like high up, like elite. Like her family got like taken captive and stuff, but she managed to, like, you know, not get captive. And she ends up with this guy who ends up training her to become an assassin so she can one day avenge, you know, her father's death. And in the beginning of this book, she starts off with Johnny to go to the Red Church, which is a, like, sort of assassin school. Yeah, she goes to the Red Church to, you know, be trained as an assassin and hopefully become, like, an assassin. And then avenge her father's death. So the first quarter of this book, I had really hard time to get into. It felt very dense, and I just had a hard time grasping the story. But once the first quarter was over, I just flew through this. I was so sucked into it, and I didn't want to put it down. I became absolutely obsessed with it. I really loved her main character. She was so badass. I feel like this book had a great balance between, like, its gruesomeness as well as its humor. There's a lot of humor and it's very funny, and I found myself laughing quite often. I wasn't expecting that at all going into this. That was all the books I read in July. But any of these books, let me know in the comments below what you thought of them, and also what are some of the books you read this month. And I hope I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Here I am again, the same old situation. What does the